Calling Dr. Red Flag. Please report to the front desk.
Dr. Red Flag here with another message where we can learn and grow together. And notice and pay attention to the red flags. Today's topic is you can't heal them when unresolved trauma becomes the relationship. There are people who carry pain that did not start with you from childhood, from neglect, abandonment, instability, or emotional harm. And when they enter a relationship, they're not just bringing themselves, they're bringing everything they have not healed. From a psychological perspective, this is often tied to unresolved trauma. This can include complex trauma, CPTSD, which develops from repeated emotional or psychological harm over time. It can also involve attachment wounds, where clearly relationships shaped how a person experiences love, trust, and safety. These individuals may not fully recognize the depth of their trauma, but it shows up in their behavior. It shows up in how they react, connect, and cope. There are several clinical patterns often seen in individuals with deep unresolved trauma. Emotional dysregulation, difficulty managing emotions leading to intense reactions, attachment insecurity, fear of abandonment or avoidance of closeness, hypervigilance, constantly scanning for threats even when none are present, projection, attributing their internal pain onto others, disassociation, mentally checking out or disconnecting during stress, trauma bonding, confusing emotional pain with connection. I've been guilty of that. When you enter a relationship with someone carrying unhealed trauma, you may believe love will help them. You may believe patience will fix it. You may even believe you can be the one who finally shows them something different. But trauma is not healed through a partner. It's processed through self-work, awareness, and often professional support. So, without that healing, the relationship becomes a cycle. You may find yourself in a constant emotional merry-go-round, moments of closeness followed by distance, affection followed by withdrawal, connection followed by conflict. But over time, it becomes exhausting, not just emotionally, but mentally and spiritually, because you are not just in a relationship, you are navigating someone else's unresolved pain. One of the most important things to understand is this: you can't at all love someone out of trauma they have not faced themselves. And if you try, you risk losing yourself in the process. So how do you recognize when someone's unhealed trauma is driving the relationship? Look for these red flags. They have intense emotional reactions. They do not match the situation. They fear abandonment but push you away at the same time. They struggle with trust even when you have given them no reason to break it. They create conflict then withdraw or shut down. They rely on you to regulate their emotions. They repeat the same patterns without accountability. They avoid self-reflection or blame others for everything. They make you feel responsible for their healing. Another key sign is inconsistency. They may be loving one moment and distant the next. Open one day, close off the next. This creates confusion, and confusion is often mistaken as complexity, when it actually is instability. You may also notice yourself changing, becoming more anxious, overthinking, walking on eggshells, trying harder to keep the peace. This is where the loss of self begins. Psychologically, this dynamic can create codependency, where one person becomes overly confused on fixing, helping, or saving the other at the expense of their own well-being. It also creates emotional burnout because you are constantly giving with little stability in return. The truth is difficult, but it's necessary. So if someone has not addressed their trauma, it will continue to show up in every argument, misunderstanding, and moment of closeness until they choose to face it. And that choice cannot be made for them. So what do? You You recognize the difference between supporting someone and sacrificing yourself for them. You set boundaries. You stop taking responsibility for emotions that are not yours. You stop trying to fix what you did not break. If the pattern continues, you consider distance, because staying in a cycle that drains you, this is not love. Love does not require you to lose yourself, does not demand that you carry someone else's unhealed wounds. Sometimes the red flag is believing you are the